When you initially catch a reverse shell from a Linux target, you have probably run these 3 simple commands to upgrade to a fully interactive shell. But is there an equivalent for Windows? If you are tired of working with unstable Windows shells, stick till the end, because in this video I'm going to show you how to set up a Windows shell upgrade that takes not 3, but literally 1 simple command to get a fully interactive shell on a Windows target. Alright, let's get started. We are going to use this ConPTY shell tool over here at github.com/AntonioCoco/ConPTY shell. I'll leave a link in the description. It's basically an interactive reverse shell for Windows. Feel free to read more details about how it was created from this description from the author or check out the source, but to keep this video more straightforward, we're going to get straight into using it. Let me switch over to my victim attacker view and let's check it out. Okay, first let's turn off Defender. By the way, if you are interested in getting reverse shells with Defender turned on, you might want to check out this video, which dives into antivirus evasion and bypassing Defender. Next, let's catch a regular PowerShell reverse shell. Okay, now we have a normal shell. By the way, if you're not sure what I just did, I would suggest going back and watching my reverse shells video. Anyway, now that we have this uninteractive shell, we can use ConPTY shell to upgrade it to a fully interactive one. So let's see what we need to do. On the server side, we need to run this command. And on the client side, or the victim, we need to run this. So let's change the IP. And let's run it from our non-interactive shell. And as you can see, as fast as that, we were able to grab a fully interactive shell. Now, even though this was fast, it was not as fast as what you saw in the intro. So let's now create a quick script to automate this even more. Okay, now I'm on my Kali and I have VS Code ready. Now, the plan is simple. We're going to set up a script that hosts the ConPTY PowerShell script on our attacker machine, runs the ConPTY listener command, and prepares the payload automatically for us, so we can just paste it into our non-interactive session. If you didn't quite get it, don't worry, we will explain everything as we go. It is nothing complex at all. The first thing I will do is I will grab the script. I will create a host directory and I will paste it here under the name s.ps1. The reason we will be hosting it from the attacker machine is that the target might not always have internet access to pull it from GitHub, because as you can see, the command that is run here pulls it from GitHub. One more thing we need to do before we start writing our bash script is we need to figure out how we are going to host this file. The most simple way might be Python simple HTTP server. However, what we want here is an HTTP server that gets shut down right after one request is made. The idea is that right after the attacker pulls the script from the web server automatically shuts itself down. So let me show you what we will do. I will create a new file and call it http server.py and I'll paste the following code. Now, please don't get intimidated by this. It is literally just like Python 3-m http.server, but it just shuts down itself after one GET request. We are just overriding the do-get method, and after we perform the GET, we just call the shutdown method in a new thread of the web server. Here we have the serving directory, which is going to be the host folder in the directory of the web server. And we have the server address. We are going to serve on all interfaces on port 8008. So literally Python 3.m http.server 8008 will be the exact same thing as Python 3 http-srv.py. The only difference is that this HTTP server will close right after it receives a GET request. Quick note, we just launched the HeptaSec Discord community, a place for like-minded people that are into cybersecurity and ethical hacking. Join at heptasec.com/discord and grab your OG role while it's still open. Back to the video. Okay, and now we are ready to start working on our script. Now, we will want the user to use the script in the following way. When we are calling the script, we are going to be passing the IP of the attacker as an inline parameter. So it would look something like this. So let's first grab the second inline argument, considering that the first is always the name of the script itself. This is the way we grab inline arguments in Bash. And it is 1 because it is the second argument. 0 would be this, and 1 would be this. Let's prepare another variable we are going to need, which is gonna be the payload that we want to run. Now that is going to be this right here. Let's copy it. And let's change a few things. The first is obviously, instead of pulling from GitHub, we are going to pull from our own HTTP server. And that's going to be the web server at the attacker IP. Port is 8008, if you remember, from right here. And the script is called s.ps1, as you can see from right here. Okay, let's also change this IP here to our attacker IP as well. So that's the PowerShell command ready. But our initial non-interactive reverse shell might not always be a PowerShell reverse shell. It might be, we might only have a CMD reverse shell. So let's make sure we are executing this with PowerShell. Okay, now let's print this whole thing and see how it would look at the end. And let's open a terminal and run our shell script. Okay, there we have the command. What we can do now is test it to make sure that it works as it is right now. Let me copy it. And let's switch quickly to our victim attacker view. I will open a command prompt. I will prepare the command here, but let's first run a listener on our attacker machine. And one mistake I did is I forgot to bring up this HTTP server that will host the payload. So let's do that. And this way we will be able to test our HTTP server as well. Okay, something is wrong because nothing happened. Our web server is not up. Let's see. Maybe the issue is that I forgot to save it. So let's save, run again. Okay, let's try again. As you can see, the exact expected functionality happened. We ran the command that was output by our script. It pulled down from our HTTP server. The HTTP server shut down itself immediately after it got a GET request, and our listener received the interactive shell that we want. So now all that is left is to automate getting this payload in the clipboard and also automate the execution of this HTTP server. Let's go back to our Kali machine and do that. The first thing we want is the script automatically putting this payload in our clipboard so we can easily paste it on the other session and grab the interactive shell. We can do this with a tool called xclip. Let me show you. First we need to install it. Oh, it was actually installed. Okay, so the way we use it is very simple. We do echo, and here we have whatever we want to be placed in our clipboard. Let's try with hello world. And we pipe this into xclip with argument selection clipboard. And once we do this, now when I press paste, the string that we had here gets placed on the top of the clipboard. Okay, so let's do this in our script now. Instead of echoing the payload to the terminal, let's echo it and pipe it into xclip. Great, let's give some info to the script operator. And now let's continue by automating the other part, which is running automatically this HTTP server. The same way we run it right here, we will run it in our script. And we will also start it as a background process, so it doesn't interfere with the next parts of our script here. We can also grab the process ID of the server, just so we can echo it to our script operator for convenience. The way we do this is with this syntax here, which will return the PID or the process ID of the last process that was started in the background. Okay, let's give some info to the user. And now the only thing that is left is to start the actual listener. If you remember, we started the listener up here. We run this server-side command. Let's automate that as well by running it right here. And let's also give some info to our user. Okay, great. Let's test what we got so far. I'll switch back to the attacker victim view. Here we are. And let's see. We have our script here, so let's run it and pass in the IP of the attacker, which is 10.0.2.15. And let's see, we have our PowerShell payload copied to the clipboard. We started an HTTP server, which is serving the ConPTY script under the name s.ps1. And we also have the listener started, which is waiting for the reverse shell. So we should have what we need to paste in our clipboard. So let's paste. There we go. And if we hit enter, if you saw quickly, the server, the HTTP server, got shut down, and we quickly got this session transformed into an interactive Windows reverse shell session. Perfect. Now let's do some finishing touches to have this more polished. One thing we can do is try and verify whether the user is passing the correct inline parameter, which is the IP address, and we can do this like so. We are going to check whether the count of the parameters is not equal to 1. So basically this check will pass and we will continue going down our code only if we have exactly one parameter passed to the script. So let's save and try that out. If I only want win upgrade, you can see the usage, and if I run it with 3 parameters, let's say, we also get the usage, and only works if we pass exactly one parameter. I'm not going to add a regex for an IP here. Feel free to do that if you want. Another thing we can polish is we can add a check to verify that the user has Xclip installed on the system. We can do this like so. If not, which Xclip, so if Xclip is not installed, we are going to echo out this message and exit. If we have Xclip installed, this check will pass and we will continue running down our code. Okay, and one last thing we might want to do is make sure, because right now if we go to this session here and let's say we exit it, as you can see the shell is quite broken, and what we can do is restore it at the end with stty sane. Also, we might want to make sure that our HTTP server is dead at the end after our interactive session is over. And finally, let's output a message for the user before we exit the program. I think that is it. Okay, one last thing you might want to do is set up this script somewhere where the OS knows by default how to reach it, so that you don't have to run it from a specific directory, but you can just run it like a normal command. To do this, let's grab the current path, let's go to opt, let's create a new directory, let's go into the directory and let's copy the 3 files in this directory. Let's do it recursively to copy the folder and the file in it, and let's also make sure to have sudo. So now we have them here. And the last thing to do is place a symlink that points to this script somewhere within the directories of the path variable. So as you can see, this is our path variable. Usually such custom scripts would maybe go into user local sbin. So let's go there and let's create the symlink. Okay, now we have it pointing to winupgrade.sh, and now if we just type winupgrade, just like the name of the symlink, we can run our script from wherever we want. So we can be in root and it would still work. Okay, that's gonna be it for this video. I really hope you liked it, and I will see you next time.